Well, hi, everyone. My name is Joey Vidito. I will say this is the first time I'm speaking to this big of a crowd, so bear with me. My name is no longer Joey Vidito. It is now Joey Schrader. I recently got married on September 24th with my wonderful husband that I've been with for 4 years. I have my wedding photos here, a couple of them. Most of you probably think that we met in college. Actually, our love story started at Home Depot on Perryville. But that's a story for another time. I currently still work as a manufacturer engineer at Collin Aerospace in the Global Service Repair Department. I work with emergency power systems that go on commercial airplanes and military airplanes. Not only that I work there, I also have a life outside of my job. I am an artist, a dog mom of 3. I am a robotics coach for a first Lego Little League. Love that team. I also hunt with my husband, and I help assist in the pageant for the Winnebago County Fairgrounds. Most of you probably think, why is she here? Who is she? So forth. Well, I had 2 ladies in particular that reached out to me almost a year ago, Amy and Justine, after they saw the video of Our City, Our Story had released. At first, I didn't know much about RAMP, so I had to do my own research. And what RAMP stands for, and I hear this question a lot, especially from my coworkers over the last few days, they were wondering what RAMP stands for, and I didn't even know. So I learned that RAMP stands for Regional Access and Mobilization Project. And you heard a lot about RAMP does, what the great things they're doing in our community. And what RAMP does, and something that they hold true to themselves, is that they hold no limits in ways that they encourage individuals with disabilities to reach to their full potential. With that, I'll tell you a little bit of my story today. So, as any other mother would, a mother would know when there's something wrong with their child, naturally. My mother had recognized that there was something that wasn't right with me just because I was not responding to her, but I was responding to my dad. So, the first thing she does is starts taking me to doctor visits. Doctor visits after doctor visits. Each doctor is saying, oh, she's not cooperating, she's a toddler. Until one doctor in particular had told her to get my hearing tested, because at the time that I was born, hearing testing was not required for the babies. So, come to find out, at 4 years old, I was born with a bilateral moderate to severe hearing loss. So when my hearing was first discovered, the first thing my parents and my whole family did was take basic sign language class to help me communicate when needed most, already being a mentor and advocate in my life. And then, of course, I get to hear my first sounds at 4 years old, and those first sounds was birds chirping. Recently, I received a new pair of hearing aids after 8 years, and you can imagine technology improves insane. I realized my dishwasher makes noises, how loud central air could be, and I learned my new pet peeve as well, and that's the sound of people chewing. However, my parents never raised me to be different due to my disability, and I say disability with quotes, and I'll explain why. If you look at the proper definition of disabled, I got the definitions coming up here. If you look at the proper definition, it means to be limited on functioning abilities. Limited. Disabled is kind of a word that is used poorly in our society, and sometimes is connected to depression. But honestly, we should change that perspective. So however, if I read the definition in a different perspective, looking at the word limited, which limitation means boundaries and obstacles. how you must overcome them and adapt. So really, I am limited to do certain things in life, but I'm not limited to the things I want in life. I'm going to say that again. I am limited to do certain things in life, but I am not limited to the things I want in life. Now, if I remove the part that says dis from disabled, I get the word abled. When you look at the definition on the slide, it says the ability to have complete range of physical and mental abilities. Physical and mental ability. This applies to everybody. We must learn who we are. We must learn who we are to know what we are able to do. We must learn on what we are able to do in order to adapt and overcome obstacles. We are able to do whatever we want if we just put our mental and physical abilities forward. With that, you can help others with those abilities you have. And lastly, my new favorite word coming up here is differently abled. Now, if you look at that definition, it says lack of normal functioning ability. Now, I may lack in hearing, but I'm still able to advocate for others and able to guide others just as all the mentors and advocates in my life as well. It's something I usually say to myself and others, and quite a few people that know me would know this, but I say, I'm not sure how, but I will, or I'll figure it out. So now we'll get to the main topic of this speech. Plans change, but goals don't. So everyone has goals in their life, whether that's your career, your hobby, something mentally, something physically. There's all different kinds of goals. There's short-term goals, which last about 5 years. There's long-term goals that are about 10 to 20, 30 years, however long you want them to be. I've always had these late-night conversations with my dad when I was growing up, about where I wanted to be and why, which I think is actually a really important conversation to have with someone that you have a close relationship with, because that is helping them think about their future and how are they going to get there. And of course, what my dad has always told me was, your plans will change, but your goals don't. So I want you to think about your goals in life within the next 5, 10, 20 years. And as you think about your goals, focus on the step in front of you rather than the staircase to get to your goal. So I'll tell you some of my goals. My first goal that's going to be on this slide right here is to graduate to become an engineer. Already done. I graduated in 2021 at NIU with my Bachelor's of Science in Manufacturing Engineering. So how did I get to that goal? Why did I come up with that kind of goal? Kind of unusual to see a tiny little girl like me wanting to be an engineer. So I had a job shadow back in 8th grade at UTC Sunstrand, which is now known as Collin Aerospace. And I have realized I absolutely loved the place, loved the person I had job shadowed. And I realized I wanted to become an engineer and to be one step higher than my brother. So in freshman year of high school, I decided I wanted to be an aerospace engineer. I realized that's not necessarily what I want, so I officially decided what I wanted to be in junior year of high school, that I wanted to be an engineer in aerospace, so I decided to become a mechanical engineer. So I did everything I could. I took all classes. I was in the robotics team in high school. I did whatever I could that would help me succeed that goal. So I went to college. I went to Rock Valley College and NIU. I did their partnership program. And plans changed because COVID hit. And everyone was affected. And you can know how hard that can be, hard of hearing, and going online all of a sudden. Not very easy, especially when your teachers have very heavy accents. Nevertheless, I still pushed through and I still graduated with my degree. My next goal that I had just completed last year is to work at Collin Aerospace. I decided in 8th grade as well. Not only did I want to be an engineer, I also wanted to work there. So now I have been officially hired full-time last year at Collin Aerospace. So I guess still have new goals that I'm working on or have goals that I want to accomplish at some point in my life. One of those goals is rapid career development, and that's still in progress. Now, this may be bold to say, but I will be the director of a Collin Aerospace site one day. And I only say that because my bosses are here and I want to make sure they heard that. But also, if you think about it, if your goals don't scare you, then they're not big enough. And I'll put that quote up here too. As a goal, that's something I've always said to my friends, especially when they're like, oh yeah, you're not gonna get there. Well, if your goal doesn't scare you, then you're not doing something right. My next goal that I want to get is to receive a double major master's degree in MBA and MME. Now, I haven't started that goal just because I need to study for my GRE, apply to Purdue University, and hopefully graduate within 2 to 3, maybe 4 years. And my other goal that I really need to convince my husband on is to have a family eventually. And I would like to have 2 of my own, 1 adopted, and if I don't have kids for whatever reason, I'll still adopt 3. But I have to convince my husband to have more than 1 child. And then my most recent goal that I've added to my list was live life to the fullest. And the reason why I said that is because it's a goal that everyone should have, right? We all should have it. It's a bucket list thing. You live life to the fullest. Well, recently, I started showing symptoms of a disease called Usher syndrome. And for those of you that don't know what Usher syndrome is that you will progressively lose your sight and hearing over time until you are completely blind and deaf. So I was recently diagnosed a couple months back with Usher syndrome type 2. I'm not going to let this hold me back. All right, this is just another thing I have to live with as a part of my goal, and all I'm going to do is push through and accomplish goals. Fortunately, type 2 is where you already have hearing loss, and your vision will progressively get worse in a tunnel vision form. And it happens over time. It could happen over 40 years, and there's no cure for it. Oh well, I'm still pushing through. So make a bucket list. Because it is never too late to start, especially if you're 40, 60 years old. There's still a bucket list out there. I don't know if some of you guys probably watched the movie Bucket List. There's a bucket list movie. It's pretty good. So there's something I usually say to some people in life, and I say it to my husband a lot, and it goes something like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need you. As I proceed to open a jar of pickles by myself. But some days I am wrong. And you see, society we live in today is not meant for us to live alone. And it's hard to believe that sometimes because some of us are introverts. So when I was in middle school, high school, I wouldn't ever ask for help from people. I still don't majority of the time. And I also would never take up the opportunity on the disability program in college for better assistance through classes because I felt like I would be cheating my way through it and cheating my way to my goal. And I regretted it all. But I was fortunate that I still had mentors along the way that would push me regardless. Every day, my family, my friends, my husband, they always push me to do better, especially when I lean on them. And I have quite a bit of family members here today, but I'm thankful for them. My husband, I say that earlier because at one point when we were dating, while we were working at Home Depot and in college, he had surprised me one day while we were studying over FaceTime. He told me to look up to him because he had something to tell me. And when I looked up to him, he signed to me and saying, hello, my my name is Ben. How are you? It was a wonderful surprise. It turns out him and his family were taking basic sign language class in a way to help and support me if I needed that communication in emergency situations. Very sweet. Now, there's one person that I would like to point out particular, and she is here too. There's a couple of people I want to point out. And this person has been with me since I transferred to McNair Winnebago School. And she has been with me in high school and even now. She actually came to my wedding too. And her name is Jackie. She was the hearing itinerant for me, and she helped advocate for me and taught me ways on how to advocate for myself. So there was a time when I transferred to this school, I had very low self-esteem and low confidence because I was the only student that I knew of at the time that had disability. And I struggled in school on having conversation with people because I couldn't hear very well. I mean, yes, I have hearing aids, but they don't always pick out in every word that people say in conversation. These hearing aids, they do now, so watch what you say. So I always stayed to myself in school, and I was constantly bullied or called the deaf girl. Well, Jackie had came up with something very outstanding called Hearing Week. I can't remember if it was week or day, but I'm going to say week at my school to allow people to be aware of certain situations. And it was a way that I could teach kids the same age as me and teachers on how to protect their hearing in the different parts of their ears. One of the activities we did was in a gym class, and it was to give all the students a pair of earplugs. And as you know, when you put earplugs in, you can't hear very well. Well, they wore it during the entire class hour while they were playing a game, and at the end, they were to tell us their thoughts about not being able to hear well. Many say it was frustrating, they didn't like it, they hated it, they didn't want to do it again. But one said that I've been taking my hearing for granted. And this has stuck with me since that day. So if you ever think about it, when you put even now you can close your ears with your palms and press really hard. That's how I hear without my hearing aids. You can't hear much. And it's frustrating. It's like an unbalanced world. So, thank you, Jackie. She's back there. I don't know if you want to wave your hand. But. Now, I have one other person that I would like to point out too, and she had actually pushed me to be better and continue without even having to say anything to me. For some of you, probably don't think that I would be now, but I used to be a tomboy growing up. I never wore dresses. I used to go off-roading in rock crawlers with my dad that he had worked on or built, throw mud balls at people on the trails, help my dad work in the shop by getting my hands dirty while handing him tools or just playing in the dirt. Well, one day I made a bet with a friend, and sadly for me, I lost that bet, which means that I had to enter the pageant in Winnebago. So, now keep this in mind, I did not know how to walk in heels or even wear makeup. So the first pageant that I entered, I will say it right now, before I get too far, I was in the wrong mindset for competing in the first pageant. And I thought if I looked pretty and walked on the stage, I would just win. Yeah, I was horribly wrong, and I lost, and it really humbled me. Although, I did win one award, and that award was the Director's Choice Award. Kim saw potential in me, and she is here too, which led me into competing again. And I will show you a couple of pictures here. I competed 3 times. I will only say 2 times, actually. So the second pageant, I changed my mindset about the pageant this time. I realized that if I don't improve myself, then I wasn't going to get anywhere. I thought about how everything in the pageant was about self-improvement, learning how to speak properly in front of people, such as today, showing confidence in yourself. And I also finally learned how to walk in heels properly because I couldn't do that earlier. I can even run in them. It's pretty exciting. And I told myself I better not fall today. But I also told myself that all I wanted to do for my second year of pageant was just to improve myself. I didn't care about winning. So I got rewarded just for that. I won first runner-up and Director's Choice Award again. Now there was still room for improvement, so I entered again for the third year. I prepared for this year, set the plan of what I wanted to accomplish leading up to winning the competition, and once again, like I said earlier, COVID hits. So the fair got canceled, which means the pageant got canceled, and keep in mind this was my last year to compete until I aged out. Oh well, plans change but goals don't, right? I could still improve myself, and that was all I was gonna do, even outside of the pageant. Until I was presented by the fair board and the director of the pageant to be their first and only Winnebago County Fair Ambassador 2020. And that was an honor because all I had to do was represent for the county as a whole and what I could do as a role model for others. So there was a quote that I found, I don't know who had said it, but if you continuously compete with others, you become bitter. But if you continuously compete with yourself, you become better. So with that, compete with yourself, not with others. So now, let's get back into that goal that I just accomplished about dream job and saying how I want to be a director of a site one day. We're not gonna touch that anymore, since I already made that mark. At first, when I decided that I wanted to work at Collin Aerospace, I just thought it would be cool. The place looked so cool, all the different things, they just looked so cool. I just kept saying that, like I told my mom over and over again until she got tired of hearing it. It was really cool. There's not many kids that you would hear say, I want to work at this place when I grow up, especially in 8th grade. Well, I was that weird kid. When I was told I was hired in the middle of a COVID for a co-op position at Collin Aerospace, I was ecstatic. I could not believe it. I called my husband, who was my boyfriend, and I said, I got the job. I got the job. And he's like, no way. And he started screaming, and we celebrated and everything. So that was one step closer to the goal I wanted to accomplish. After I completed my college degree, I have mentioned to my boss that time that I needed to move on into a full-time position. So I began to apply around the different areas in Collin Aerospace, not just Rockford, but other areas as well. And little did I know that my department wanted to keep me and created the position for me to be hired onto the team full-time last year. So. And I say this is a dream job in a way that not only because I wanted to work there, but because of the people I work with. They've always advocated and pushed me to do better, and I could not ask for anything more than that. I mean, I got quite a big group here today supporting me, and I've been very fortunate and happy with that, and they have been sharing everything that I do with the team as well. And last but not least, like I said, I coach a robotics team now. I just took on that team, and I am a head coach as of this year. It's my first year being the head coach. I've been the assistant coach 2 years prior, and our team name is Montessori Mania, Maria Montessori, and that team lives up to their second part of the team's name, Maniacs. And they're little kids. They're 4th grade up until 8th grade. And I've always enjoyed working with the kids and helping them to their next step and what they want to accomplish. But many people ask me, why do you do it? Especially my husband. And it gives me joy and happiness to be able to take something I love and then share it with others and for them to be able to learn something that they're interested in as well. And it's something I mentioned in the video as well. My inspiration was that I was given the opportunity to explore at a very young age, to experience something that I was very interested in. Now, I want to give back because I had someone that had the ability to give me the opportunity to explore. When the kids enjoy the experience and learning something new, then I know I'm accomplishing something and I'm doing something correctly. So, I hope today you have learned how I was able to build myself and how I want to help others build as well. Because plans can change, but your goals don't.